Hello, Picket Fence Studios. Brienne, hello. Hey, Misty. All kinds of people I know on here already. I popped on a minute early. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Karen. I loved your live last night, Karen. It was awesome. Hey, Holly. I'm going to be spooky tonight. Karen did all this adorable Christmas business, and I'm going to be spooky, and I'm going to do Halloween because that is my jam. But if you haven't seen last night's live, please go watch the replay because she made the cutest little shaker tags out of those ornament dies that I've ever seen in my life. Jackie, Essie. Hey guys. LaWanda, Jeanette, howdy y'all. Blue pumpkins, always blue pumpkins. I love them. I made, actually, there was a beautiful Picket Fence Studios release around the same time last year. That I also, blue pumpkins are my tradition. And last year we had A World with Octobers, and I colored those blue as well. You know I'm doing spooky. Hello, Carol, Michelle. This is not what we're doing, though. I'm just teasing you. I'm trying to, work my way up to really scaring you with this spooky Halloween stuff. But Picket Fence Studios does Halloween like nobody's business. So, and Nicole knows that if given the choice between Halloween and anything else, I'm always going to choose Halloween. And behind Halloween, I will be choosing fall because these are my favorite things. You should be scared, Brienne. Not really. But I did want to show you these. So these are a couple of my cards from the release, and I just wanted to kind of tell you some of my favorite things. I did 2 Christmas cards, I think, but the rest I did Halloween. I was like, this is my release. It's got my name written all over it. The new Persimmon Paper Glitz is to die for. So I mixed it with the Christmas red. I hope you can see that. And this is not even like, and I apologize in advance, the Saharan dust cloud in Texas goes right to my throat. And so it's very dusty here. So sorry if I clear my throat. But the wizard of mixing paper glaze, paper glitz, all of those things is Erica. So on our team. So be sure and check out her upcoming videos and the videos she's already done because she's the master of this. But I tried to channel my inner Erica on this background, and I mixed that beautiful new Christmas red with the persimmon, and holy moly, is that pretty. So this is actually the reverse of our other beautiful leaf stencil. So Nicole, summoned up some crocodile tears and asked her for the reverse of this, and she was nice enough to do that. So the other one also includes the outside space, so this is fun to have these two things together, and they are both slimline stencils. If you notice, after I colored the teal pumpkin, see that little white detail there? That makes it sort of look like light, which is what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be doing moonlight techniques with paper glitz. And then the word toppers, they normally have a little thicker bottom, but feel free to cut them down and make them super delicate right there. Because I think, as delicate as these letters are, it's fun to be able to just trim that off. The word toppers are super duper fun, as you'll see, because I used it again on another one of my spooky release cards. So this one is Life Changing Blender Brushes. I did an ink blended background, and then I used the negative space from this new stencil, which comes with the positive and negative space, which Okay, that's something that Nicole does that I don't know if I've ever seen. I love having both pieces of the stencil to work with because then you can get completely different cards and it kind of stretches your stencil. But here's the real star of the show, y'all. Look at those little ghosts floating up from the graveyard. How cute is that? Those are from the new Sequins and More mixes. I hope Nicole doesn't... I hope I get this name right. I'm almost positive this one is from Midnight Tales. The little ghosts. So it comes with sequins and it comes with these fun clay elements. And we have all kinds of super cute shapes, including penguins and little ghosts. There have been some really cute things done with the ghosts. Our former team member, Angela Bowe, did the cutest card with the little avocados from the avocado toast mix. So check those out because it's fun to have sequins and the little clay pieces. So this is another word topper with glitter paper, and again I've customized the size so you can see these word toppers. You know, that's probably twice the size, maybe 1/4 of an inch. This one's 1/8 of an inch. So just pop those in your paper trimmer and make them whatever size works for your card. I was trying not to cover up too much of the little gravestones because they're spooky and fun. But anyway, and I did a gray ink on this instead of a black ink to sort of make that backlighting look more interesting. So what we're going to do today, so I literally screamed out loud. Oh, I just used glue, Karen. I just used regular glue. So I use white PVA type glue for the little clay pieces. Now, I screamed like a banshee when I saw this die. This is like my favorite die. If the house was burning, I would go get this die, and then I would get all the other important things in my life. But this die would come first because it's so spooky and it's so fun. And I'm going to be using that tonight with, me too, Debbie, I love that too, with this Fancy Autumn Sentiments. So this is actually a series of sentiments that Picket Studios has that have these beautiful scripty fonts, and this one has all the fun Halloween and fall sentiments. So I will be using this little Boo I See You sentiment because it fits perfectly on my moon. And we are going to do just a little bit of watercoloring. So if you're an experienced watercolor person or you're intimidated by watercolor, I'm here to like blur all those lines and make you feel comfortable with watercoloring a beautiful detailed die cut like this. So when you have a standalone die that is a whole scene all by itself, like this one, I love nothing more than to watercolor it. I almost always cut these out of watercolor paper and just go to town painting them because it's a blank canvas for you, and it's something that is just so much fun to do on especially an image like this. So I cut this, and everybody always asks me what my favorite watercolor paper is. This is my daily stamping watercolor paper. One thing you do need to know about watercolor paper is if it doesn't say 100% cotton on it, it's not watercolor paper. It might be water-friendly paper that's fun for techniques with a lot of water, but true watercolor paper has to be 100% cotton. Cold pressed is my favorite. That means it has a rougher texture and it holds up to water a lot better than hot press. I know a lot of people like hot press for stamping, but really at the end of the day, the watercolor is the most important. So that's what I like. So we are going to, hey Deborah Smith. Yes, fall sentiments are my jam, Julie. You can't have too many of those. Because there are lots of sets that we have all year that you can pair with a fall sentiment that look great. So, okay, now what's cool about the way that she set up this die is it is sized perfectly for an A2 card. So I just took a circle die and a slightly smaller than A2 panel. So you can see it sticks off a little bit right here. If this were truly an A2 card panel, this would be sized perfectly. So it's very, very like well thought out in terms of how you're going to create a card with just this die and very little else. I cut a little circle because we're going to do a moon, and that moonlight is going to be cast onto our little scene tonight. So first we will watercolor, and this is just going to be spooky as all get out. So I have my Daniel Smith watercolor here. If you want to, you can take just a sprayer and you can wet the back and even the front of your watercolor paper just a little bit. I live in a very heavily air-conditioned environment in Austin, Texas, and so I'm always fighting the air conditioner with my paper drying too fast. So I'm going to put on some watercolor, and I'm deliberately going to let the different sections of this image blend together, because that's scary, right? It's scary when the little pumpkin head is blending into the little scarecrow dress. And I'm not going to be very careful at all about putting this down. This is really kind of an abstract watercolor technique. So I'll just put a little bit of my lighter orange, which is Aussie Red Gold by Daniel Smith. And then I'll just add little pops of a darker color because that's scary too. That is quinacridone Sienna, which is a beautiful kind of warm orange. And then I'll move on to I call it a dress, but you know, it could just be like a raggedy shirt. You know, what do you make your scary scarecrow out of? I will be using one of my favorite Halloween colors, which is purple. This is quinacridone Purple by Daniel Smith. And the reason that purple is such a perfect Halloween color is that it's a complementary color to both orange and green. And so your little monsters that are colored green and your jack-o'-lanterns that are colored orange, like the purple just really makes them pop. Hi, Erin. Never too late. And don't forget to invite your friends, because we'll give away a $50 gift card when we get to 100 viewers. So now, because I want to put that pop of that complementary color in there, I'll be adding just a little bit of green here and there. And if you work while the purple watercolor is still wet, these little patches of green will bloom out and just be thrilling. So much fun. This takes no skills. Please don't be intimidated by watercolor at all. Nothing I'm doing takes any skill at all. Then we'll move down here to these pumpkins. I'm going to paint the stem and the little arms, which I'm assuming are made out of wood. Unless they're made out of bones. How creepy would that be? I'm going to paint those brown, and so I don't really need like the kind of blendy look that I'm getting with these sections blending into each other. I'm going to help this blend along a little bit. You can see how the purple is sort of bleeding up into that orange, so I'm just going to touch it with a clean brush and let that blend out. Oh, sure you could, Lenny. Absolutely. Yeah, you can make the dress black. That would be fun. That would make the orange pop even more. So you can do anything you want. That's what's great about these shape dies that are complete all by themselves, is you can paint them any color you want. Okay, so we'll move on. I'm going to go ahead and put some clean water. The air conditioner has already dried all of this already. So I will put some clean water all over the little jack-o'-lanterns at the bottom. before I start painting those, and I will just use the same color that I used above. I will grab that nice Aussie red gold, which is kind of a bright and happy orange, and see how, because this is wet, watercolor will continue to travel on wet paper until it hits a dry spot. So that's sort of bleeding down into the bottom, which is great. That's the look I'm going for. Then I'll grab a little bit of the quinacridone sienna, and again, look how simple this is. I'm just randomly putting it everywhere. This is not like fine painting. Anybody can do this. This would be a fun one actually for kids, I think. Hey, Rita. Okay, so I'm just cleaning my brush, and then I'll go into this bottom section with more of a grassy color. So I'm choosing Undersea Green, which is kind of a grainy Daniel Smith color. And I'm using the biggest brush, and part of that is so that I don't get too focused on the details. I don't want to use my brush like a pen. I want it to be very blendy and sort of mixed together. Like I want some of this green grass to go up into the pumpkins, and I want some of the orange from the pumpkins to go down into the grass. And so the bigger the brush, the less likely I am to sort of overthink this and try to be too precise. And see, this is a number 10. So this is my largest round brush that I own. I'm going to go back into this pumpkin and add, see how the green is bleeding up into there? Isn't that fun? I love that. But I'm going to add a little bit more orange at the bottom, just so that that bleeds back into the grass and sort of gives you the illusion of a shadow. Now I'll go into some of these dry areas with the brown that I'll be using for the wood, which for me is going to be sepia. You should watercolor, Gail. It's so much fun. It's so relaxing. I saw the funniest TikTok video today of somebody who had kind of an automated scarecrow that they had on some kind of spring. So it was blowing around. It looked like it was dancing. They had it dressed up like an old lady. It was truly scary. So... And of course, so I instantly wanted it for my yard. Not that I need a scarecrow for my yard, but it just looked so fun. It would be so fun on Halloween to have one of those kind of automated scarecrows that was scaring all the little trick-or-treaters. Of course, we didn't have any trick-or-treaters last year. I'm hoping that changes this year. Okay, so the paper underneath this is wet as well. So I'm going to take a second and I will dry this image, and then we'll move on to the fun moonlight. This is so much fun. I know, Clarence, I can't scare Clarence. You're right. Clarence, for those of you who don't know, is my little pet squirrel that I feed every day. And we can't scare Clarence off. Clarence and Nicole are like best friends. Okay, so pardon me while I dry this for just a second. Now, after that cools off from, oh, for sure, Jackie, it's so easy. It really is so easy. And that's one of the reasons that I really like the painting, the die cut sort of style. If you're new to watercolor, or if you find it scary, this is a really fun, easy way to watercolor that will help you just kind of enjoy the process. So... Now, one thing you do need to know about watercolor is that it dries a little bit lighter than it appears. I'm just touching up some areas where the watercolor pooled just a little bit on that one pumpkin. Just with a sort of dry, clean brush. But one thing you need to know about watercolor, and it's true of any medium that you're using, pretty much with the singular exception of ink type watercolors, is they will almost always dry much lighter than they go on. So what looked like really super intense color at the beginning of this ends up being quite a bit lighter. So you want to be a little bit bolder with your color than you think you need to be, because at the end it's going to lighten up a lot. Like especially these pumpkins, you can see how much lighter they were than the way that they started. So, and sure, yeah, any dye-based re-inkers for any of your like water reactive type ink pads would work, any of that kind of thing. I agree, Gail. I think that's actually most people's issue with watercolor, is especially for card makers. I think we sort of tend towards that perfectionism in the things that we like to see. And so if you let go of that, you'll really enjoy watercolor. So anyway, so this is my little spooky scene. How fun is that? We'll go ahead, even though it's dried, and I dried it with the heat gun, I can actually still feel, if you just put your hand on your watercolor paper and some of it feels a little cooler to the touch than the rest of it, that means that part isn't dry, and I can sort of feel that on my pumpkin. Yes, perfection is for serial killers. This is my Monday morning look too, Marianne. Actually, sometimes it's my Tuesday through Friday look. It's definitely my I haven't had any coffee look. So, you know what the ticket to that is, Gail, is just get yourself a sketchbook. Because we love to finish cards, and that's our enemy for sort of relaxing and enjoying the process. If you get a sketchbook, you can just paint in it every day, close it up. Don't have to have a finished result, but you can practice and enjoy the process. That's how I learned to watercolor. I went out in the backyard every day. I called it watercolor happy hour. I would go out after work and I would paint for 30 minutes to an hour, just stuff, whatever, things that were in my yard, or I would paint stamp images or whatever. And it just, you grow that skill over time. So it's really, really a very relaxing hobby to take up. And it doesn't have to be for anybody else. It doesn't have to be for public consumption. It can just be for you. And that's when you find that you enjoy things the most, in my opinion. Okay, this is still a little bit wet, so I'm just going to put a piece of copy paper down here. And then I'm going to start to set up my card. So like I said, I just cut a moon shape out of a card panel that was just a little bit smaller than A2. And that is for my sort of night sky background. And I will just put glue all around that. Thank you, Tammy. It's very sweet of you. And then I'll just position it. It's going to be, I'm trying to stop saying gonna. I say gonna all the time. I really notice it on my videos. That's the Texan in me. It's gonna be about 1/8 of an inch from each side. Now, when I designed this card, here's what I was thinking about when I picked out the size of the circle that I was going to cut out. Because this die is sized this way, it's sized for an A2 card, what I wanted to make sure of is that there wasn't moonlight sticking through the openings of the jack-o'-lantern. I wanted the jack-o'-lantern to be, excuse me, positioned so that it was black behind the whole face. And so I just played with the right size die until I got that. If that makes sense. So now, to make it look like a moon texture, I know, the 7 and 7 is fun, right? I loved Karen's. I was like, darn it, Karen. Now I want to make a bunch of tags. And I don't even make tags usually, but those little shaker tags were so cute. I couldn't resist. Okay, so I'm going to take some gray ink and just a regular sponge. Actually, this is a little bit too big. So I'll just cut a little piece off of this. These are reusable. You can wash these and get the dye, get dye ink out of them and then reuse them, or just clean them off on a piece of paper. But if you ink it up, hey Sandy, how are you? You can see that it gives you sort of like a moon kind of texture. See how it's like little craters and little textures of the moon. So what I do is I get a little ink on there and put it in that moon thing, and then I just twist a little bit in the moon opening. And if you go over into the black cardstock, it doesn't matter because it's not going to show up. But it's just a little detail that sort of makes your moon look a little bit more realistic. And you really don't have to re-ink sort of, in between your little twisty motions. So that's a fun way to make a realistic moon, just with a circle die and some gray ink. So, breaking out the black markers. So this is just a trick, whether you're punching out a moon for your projects or die cutting them or whatever. This is my favorite, create a little crater tip. So you can do this with anything, any sort of texture tool that you have. I just find that either sea sponges or this type of sponge works great because, see, it already has like a bunch of texture in it. And here, so you're getting all that free texture on the moon. Very fun. And for sure you can rinse them out. So then the base of your card is all set. So now we will stamp the sentiment. And that is if I have not lost the stamp set. You know how that is. You set it on your desk and then it becomes invisible and disappears. So like I said, I'm going to use the little Boo to You. This one fits great in the moon, but if you have a different size moon, you can do whatever you like. But I do recommend taking your die cut and lining it up where you want it to be, just so that you're making sure you're not stamping behind the arm of your little jack-o'-lantern. So like mine needs to be just a little bit higher than that, because I want to align the bottom of this die cut with the bottom of the black panel. So as always, just make sure it's in the corner. I know. How did you not already have this? How did you not already have this die, Yora? It's such a great die. There were so many cute cards with it. It's the ultimate Halloween die. It's such a cute sentiment, Nicole. And it fits so great in all the little smaller spaces that those horizontal sentiments don't fit in. So it's the perfect addition to this little set of sentiments. So, like I said, this is a series of sentiments. A lot of them have dies that match them, so that's kind of fun for putting them across the front of your card because it cuts out all these intricate little swirls. But this has Crisp Air and Spooky Stairs are back, which I would have used if I hadn't used watercolor paper, because what is more perfect with the spooky stare than this little jack-o'-lantern? Nothing. I say nothing. It's perfect. And then beautiful leaves and apple trees have arrived. Where the leaves blow, I go, which that would be another fun one with this die. Y'all, it's fall, which is perfect for everything because we're in Central Texas. Fall is proof that change is good. Tricks and treats make everything sweet. Pumpkin spice makes everything nice. Now, here's my controversial poll question. Are you pro pumpkin spice or are you anti pumpkin spice? Because I know that people have very strong feelings about pumpkin spice. So I'll reserve my answer for later, but I would like to know if you are pro pumpkin spice or anti pumpkin spice. Just draw those lines in the sand. Let's just get it over with. Okay, for the next part, you do not want to have your die cut already glued onto your card. So we need that to remain separate. And I'm going to grab a little piece of craft mat. So this might horrify you, but I have a very small craft desk, and so I always cut up my craft mat into smaller workable pieces for me. So I'm just giving you permission to do that if you work in a small space. Even if you were screaming when you saw this smaller craft mat, I completely understand the screaming, but I do want to let you know that it's okay. So I have a little bit, we have a lot of pro pumpkin spice. I might have to post a poll. I do love pumpkin pie. I'm a Virgo. So for those of you who haven't seen our Zodiac Girls series, please go check out Virgo. One of the things we all know about Virgos is we all love pumpkin pie. So. But in coffee, I just think it's weird. I'm just going to go on record. I think it's bizarre to have that in coffee. Okay, this is a crazy little tool that I learned about at one of my retreats. Does anybody know what this is? This is a little tool used to clean printer heads with. But it's so perfect for so many craft applications. And you can also wash these and keep them. So I use it a lot for acrylic paints. But it's great for cleaning printer heads with, of some kind. I have never been that attached to a printer that I felt like cleaning it with something. But it's very useful for applying acrylic paint. So I'm going to start with paint. And what you want to do is orient yourself to the moon. Okay, so I'm going to be on this side of my image. And so you just pick up a little bit of acrylic paint and you just start applying it with this. It's a lot like just a sponge. And this is going to be a base layer for my paper Glitz. Now, because watercolor is water-based and acrylic has a lot of water in it, you might see that it's picking up some of the paint, which is fine. Just, you can put thicker and thicker layers down, but it makes a really great moonlight. Very spooky. Are you scared yet? Have I scared anybody? Okay, so I will move this out of the way and we will paint the other little pumpkins. Just get a little bit. You can sort of pounce it up and down on the pumpkins, and I'm just trying to keep it angled so that it's kind of off to this side. Just a little bit. Oh, eyeshadow. That's a great idea. Okay. That looks good to me. Let's go ahead and show you this against a darker background so that you can see that. And that's just the beginning of your moonlight. But the real fun of the moonlight is with paper glitz. Okay. So there is my spooky little scene. And I will bring back my piece of copy paper so that I don't get paint all over everything, which is my normal style. So let's talk about paper glitz. Now, when you get your paper glitz, you might find that some of the glitter, and the glitter mixes in this, Nicole can tell you, are amazing because a lot of them have several different colors of glitter. But there's also mica suspended in there, so it has like an overall shimmery look. But if you see this settling, don't despair. That's to be expected with the way this is suspended. So you're just going to open your jar. And I just take a toothpick and I stir it up. And see what I mean about how sparkly it is even with the glitter like not totally mixed in yet. That's that beautiful iridescent mica layer that's in there. But I just get in there and dig around and get that glitter mixed in. It's so sparkly in real life. And I just saw, I think it was it Michelle? Was it you that added paper glaze enhancer, added paper glitz to paper glaze enhancer and used it through stencil? That's fun. So, and somebody else had a great tip about just put a little piece of press and seal or cling wrap. And this is true for any jarred product that might not be stored perfectly right side up all the time. Put a little piece of press and seal or cling wrap underneath your lid, and that'll kind of keep it from sticking, because these tend to form like a glue, any kind of glaze, embossing paste, that kind of thing. So that's a good idea. So I'll take another one of these little printer head cleaners, and I'm not going to waste what's on the toothpick. I'll just apply that. See the glitter in there? The glitter and the mica. So you can sort of see in the paste the general shimmeriness and then those beautiful little glitter pieces. So much fun. So now I will take this, and that goes on top of the moonlight. Okay, so we have the brightness from the white paint, and then we have the sparkle from the paper glitz, and that is a winning combination. Let me tell you what. Now, you do not want to use your life-changing blender brushes with either paper glaze or paper glitz. These are designed to be very fast-drying products, and that does not mix with your blending brushes. So try to use a sponge type applicator. I'll show you another applicator here in a second that I really like that you can just clean. And I would normally just dunk this in a container of water that's sitting on my desk. But I'll show you that other one in just a second. And then just cap that back. Yes, for sure. Yes, good point. It also keeps the product from drying out, because what happens when you have a jarred product, so let me open this again. If you're like me and you're like a wrecking ball and you just get stuff everywhere, see how I have a little bit of the product on the top surface of the jar? What that's going to do is keep that from making that good original seal that it had when it arrived with the lid. And so as time goes by, air is going to get in there and it's going to dry out your product. So the press and seal or cling wrap will form a tighter seal and prevent that from happening. So hopefully you can see how frosty and sparkly this is with the combination of white acrylic paint and that beautiful sparkle paper glaze, which is the name of the color that I used. Isn't that fun and spooky at the same time? Yes, Denver for sure. Any high desert place that would happen. So, okay, so now all we have to do is put it together. And really, this is a pretty clean and simple card, honestly, because you just have this one die cut that's sort of your focal point for the whole thing. So I'm going to try really hard not to touch the wet paper glitz while I get a little bit of glue all over this. No, I like the darkness shining through, Gail. That's what makes it so scary. It's the nighttime shining through the little jack-o'-lantern's eyes. Yes, and there's more Halloween to come, my Halloween-loving friend. I'm the same way. I would like to start Halloween crafting like in April. I would love it if there were, 5 months of Halloween releases. I just can't get enough. And I love cute Halloween too. I have another little card with the little monsters that are so cute. Those are cute monsters. They're not scary at all. So we do have some non-scary options this month. Okay, so I have all the glue on there. I don't think I touched it too much. And all I'm going to do is just line it up with this corner over here. And it's going to stick out just a bit past the black panel and kind of reach into the card base. And then make sure you get a little bit of adhesive. I always want to color her on her arm, maybe because I gave her a purple dress. And then she is done. So there's the night sky behind her, which if you wanted to really take it up a notch, you could do a galaxy type background on the black, or you could splatter it with white or paper glitz for little stars. You could just water down the paper glitz and then splatter it all over. And that would give you a different kind of night sky feeling. But really, it comes together really quickly. It's an easily reproduced card, and it has just the right amount of spooky for me. So, the other little tool that I was going to tell you about, if you have anything that has a little silicone tip on it like this, I use this to do precision application of paper glitz too, and it just peels right off. You don't have to worry about it sticking on there. It's great. Ooh, a pearl necklace. That is a great idea. So there you go. I'm so glad you guys like my spooky little card. I hope I didn't scare anybody off. But just remember that the paper glitz, we have lots of colors now, and there are more colors to come. You can mix it with paper glaze, which is what I did on the leaf card. But to me, the sparkle that you can put on top of literally anything else and make it sparkly is so much fun. So much fun, but it's perfect for moonlight. So if you want to go make some spooky cards, then this is what you need to do. So there are more videos coming up. This is just the third of 7 live free classes. And tune in at the same time. We have lots of fun stuff coming from the team. And of course, we have lots of chances to win giveaways and all kinds of fun things from Picket Fence Studios. So thanks for being here with us tonight. Don't forget to check out everybody else's stuff. It'll be going over the weekend and then all the way through Tuesday. So, oh good. I'm so glad. That's awesome. No, the sparkle does not come off. So neither the glitter nor the mica that's embedded in the project will rub off, which is even another benefit. So, oh, have fun, Maria. Have fun with your order. So yeah, you don't have to worry about this rubbing off. It's not going to come off at its destination. It's not going to come off on anybody's hands if they handle the card. So it's there for keeps. So you guys have a great weekend. The prizes will all be announced, like Nicole said, in one post. She'll put them all together. And, oh good, a gift certificate for your birthday. Great idea. My birthday is next month too, Rebecca. That's awesome. So y'all have fun doing Halloween and Christmas crafting with everybody else. And like I said, if you have missed the first two, go back and check out the replay on Nicole's and Karen's because they're fantastic. I will see you guys back in the community group. Have a good night.